Hey guys, how's it going? I decided to make a little video on this subject. Um, I was been talking to a guy back and forth through comments, and I really appreciate everyone's comments. It doesn't matter what political background you have or different things like that. I appreciate everyone and your views. Um, just wanted to tell you that in the beginning. But back years ago, about a year ago or so, they made a law in Sacramento that says you can't work on your own car and, at your home. And it's very vague. It has a lot of stuff in it, it's kind of generic, and it's written obviously by someone who's never worked on a car. And, it kind of goes against everything that I've learned and everything that I knew. Where I learned a lot of stuff was from at my house when I was a kid. My neighbors all had like cars and stuff they would work on, at their home, and they had go-karts and motorcycles and things like that. And we all enjoyed each other doing things like that. And if somebody didn't like it, they just moved out of our neighborhood. It was that easy. If you don't want to live that kind of lifestyle, there's another place up the street that probably they don't do that. And I think that everybody should have that liberty, to be able to do that if they want. And I don't agree with the law that says that you can't work on your own car at home, because honestly, who can afford to rent a shop to do work on your own car? If you want to play around with a little thing you're trying to play with stuff, and who should make rules that tell you you can't do that? And Sacramento did. The whole county. In fact, the law even goes into rural areas. They're saying the whole county of Sacramento, you can't work on your own car unless you're doing routine maintenance. They have a few things they allow, like a tune-up and things that nobody even does anymore, pretty much. I mean, most of the new cars, you don't need to do anything but just change your spark plugs, every 100,000 miles or something like that. And, there were all things that, probably you wouldn't be doing. And, it was like, oh, somebody wants to restore an old car at their house, they can't do that. They have a very specific, bunch of things that don't make any sense. If you ever read the law, you just crack up. There's a guy, Steve Latos Law on YouTube, who actually is a lawyer, and he actually went over the whole law, and it's very vague and it doesn't make any sense. But these are the types of things that the Democratic Party is doing, and what's happening is, our state is mostly farmland. Most of the whole state of California is farmland, and it's rural. And the guys in Sacramento are making laws that don't really favor the farmland or the people living in the country who are not subject to things that they would need to have in the city. When I work at my house here, I'm in the back of my house. I have a gate that shuts. My neighbors can't even see me. I'm over 100 feet away from every one of my neighbors. I'm very conscious about smells, about noise, about other things like that, to make sure that I don't have problems with my neighbors, because it's always important that if you live anywhere. But I also believe that liberty, being able to do something on your own car or whatever at home, as long as you're not bothering other people, especially if it's behind the fence, which, in Sacramento County, I'm never in my front yard working on my car. And in Sacramento County, it even excludes, anywhere. If you're working inside your garage, you can't even work on your own car. It says it in the rules, in their law. So, these are the types of things that the Democratic Party keeps putting out. They keep on doing stuff like this, and I can never agree with them because of that. They take away your liberties, is what they're really trying to do. And it's terrible what it's done. Is every time you make a new law, you actually create something to be more expensive. In other words, when you make more things, like if you make laws about real estate, like for instance, California has, every new home has to have solar panels. Wow, that sounds great. We're doing something green. Well, what do you think the solar panel companies do? They look at that and they go, oh, opportunity. Now we can raise our price, because they have to buy them. So these are the types of things that make things cost more money and make it more expensive for people to live, and it leads to more homelessness. If you ever watch YouTube, you probably find that channel, Invisible People. You want more invisible people? Vote for the Democrats. That's how it happens. It happens because of more rules, more stipulations, makes things cost more. So, in other words, let's say a guy who used to work at his house, playing around with his car. I could disagree with someone doing other people's cars at their home. Maybe that would be a rule that would be okay. But even then, I still know that I learned a lot from working on my friends' cars. So I don't really agree with it. But if you were to live in a neighborhood where they had to make a rule, that would probably be in the acceptable range of a rule. But I still wouldn't agree with that. But all right, just let me give you a quick example here. If I was forced to pay rent, and I wasn't able to do this at my own home, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. There would be no way I could make enough money to pay rent. And what I would either have to do is I would have to take on customers' cars, and I have absolutely no desire to do that. So, it's not for everybody, these kind of laws. It takes away from people who are trying to do something to teach other people. There's a lot of reasons somebody could do something at home. It's not all just, and there's some people who need to fix their cars, who, they can't afford to go somewhere. So if people want that kind of lifestyle, they should live in an association. That's the best thing for me, because then you can be whatever they want you to do, and not try and control their neighbors of what they want to do. Every time a law gets signed, it makes things cost more. It's that simple. And the rents go up as well, because of that. When more laws are made, and people won't agree with this, but it's actually the way it is. It works this way exactly. And as we get more and more and more and more laws on the road, we're going to have more and more and more homeless. And it's not good. It just isn't. It isn't helping anything. It makes it's what people left England for. People left Europe to come to America because there was too many laws and too many rules and too much tax, and that's exactly what's happening here. And there's a big revolt against it. There's a lot of people, the Trumpers, are really, really against that, and that's why they gravitated to Donald Trump, because they're like, hey, anyone who's against that, they're for. And so that's why America is so divided. That's what's happening. And it's for good reason. There's a good reason why. It's a good reason that people don't want to be controlled by one entity. They want to be their individual selves. They want to have their own life. Okay, and if you're a neighbor, let's say you live in a neighborhood and you don't like somebody that does mechanics, hey, there's plenty of places to move to. There's lots of places with associations. There's associations where you can't do anything. You live in one of those places if that's what you want, and that's what you have. But don't make your neighbors, conform to your lifestyle. It's not fair. It's not what they want to do. So anyway, I just thought I'd make a video on that. Talk to you guys in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.